All right. So I figured I'd start with. All right. So I figured I'd start with that, and we'll go into some of the. What I'm going to cover for the latter lectures is some biochemistry, which is how how some of the supplements and herbs are acting inside the body, and that's very fascinating. If you understand that, it will take us back to a little bit of science details, and but it's very fun to understand how the body is working, and to get we'll take a small glimpse of it. So today we're going to talk about the different types of herbal medicines, and then at the end I'm going to share with you a little bit about two herbs. Yes.
Just a question. Are we able to come up with a list of some supplements that we see or have questions about, and then maybe you can take some time in a few weeks and talk about them?
Oh, you want to talk? You have some things that you specifically want to ask about?
Like a couple NAC, and I've seen a lot of stuff about borax, and I don't know if that's actually legitimate, what the research is about some of those things.
So you're interested? So we're right now. Okay, we're gonna.
Sorry, I know it's probably like a couple weeks, probably easier further away for preparation purposes, but there's so many things when you go into the store and that you read that this supplement is good for this, or this vitamin or mineral is good for that, and if they are actually useful or how to use them.
Sometimes also called we are also herbal medicine is also called, we used to call it in our school our bot med course. Backwards. Yeah, we can do that. So let's say you wanted to, after this, you want to cover like MAC.
Yeah.
What other things are very intriguing to you that you guys are interested in learning about?
One that I saw was borax.
Borax?
Talking about borax.
What were they using it for?
Inflammation, arthritis, memory, dementia. Yeah. So I wasn't sure if that was actually just
So concept of detox?
Well, yeah, as far as for borax or any sort of parasitics, anti-parasitic type stuff.
Okay.
Is borax the stuff you clean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's what I'm because everybody's like, the stuff you clean with, don't do that. And there's a
Yeah.
whole stigma with it, but if there's some truth to it, I would be very interested.
Yeah, no, it's not about there's some truth. So this is where I'll start. Okay. No problem. You throw your ideas. The thing is, nice thing about this class, I'm honestly doing this because I actually love to learn, and these are all things that I learned a lot about. I was very booky, nerdy, and I still am, but I don't get a chance to go back to these, the details. So this is actually fun for me. I love to interact with students, and also go back to my go back to the books and refresh my knowledge. So we have the luxury of being a class to direct it as the first cohort. So no problem. If you have something else in your mind, you can tell me, and I'll prepare it for some of the lectures. I'm actually the first one based on your, what you were interested in. So what I want to say first is that using herbal medicine and using natural remedies and supplements, well, how come the medical conventional doctors don't use this stuff? And they'll tell you, oh, there's no research behind it, right? You heard this.
Because they can't patent nature and make money off it?
That's actually a big part of it, right? So when you do trials, when you do trials for medicinal compounds, then it's very expensive. There's millions of dollars being pumped into research of how these compounds interact in the body and what effects they have. And then if you've done the research and you patent that, then nobody else can use that, and you can sell that, and you can make money off it. Can you do that with garlic? Everyone has garlic. Can you do that with an orange? Right? You can't patent that stuff. So there are a lot of medicinal qualities in nature that we will never, ever be able to bring up as evidence to support them, because nobody has an incentive to do that research. There are countries that do them, don't get me wrong, because they're not incentivized by the pharmaceutical industry. maybe a government might want to research them. Maybe people will get together and want to research them. But their research will never go anywhere. Even nowadays, they'll be in some little journal somewhere. People won't pay attention to it. But natural medical doctors, other people who are interested in health, they do pay attention to these things, and that research is accumulated in books, and we use that. It's legitimate research, but it'll never be at the level of your double-blind, placebo-controlled $1 million trials. And a lot of the times, a lot of the research, the company that is supporting that research will get the result they're paying for. Yeah, that's true.
No.
Yeah. Yes, it's a well-known in the industry. So there are different forms of herbal medicines. There are, so in your notes you'll see it's there's columns there. There is the raw herbs, there is liquid extracts, and there's standardized extracts. And what is the difference of each of them? So you know this?
Well, the raw herb is just picking up some parsley and eating it, or cooking with it.
A raw herb, yeah.
And the liquid extract is when you're actually making a tincture out of it with vodka or coconut oil or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And
is it liquid extract the same thing as a tincture?
Depends on what you're using, is it not? I'm not sure on that.
Okay, all right. What about a standardized extract? What's a standardized extract?
That'd be more like medical doctor stuff, like because it's standard.
Mm-hmm. What do they standardize it to?
Well, probably to the company that's making it.
The company? Or what would a company standardize? What does that mean, like standardized extract?
So that all the bottles, if you were to go
Yeah.
to Costco and you were to look at the bottles of herbal medicines
Yeah.
on the shelf,
Yeah.
they're all standardized so that.
Standardized to what?
Standardized to their standards.
Oh, okay. That's not a bad guess. Not a bad guess. It's standardized to some compound usually. There'll be a certain amount of compound. They'll guarantee there's much compound in it.
Right.
No, that's not always most effective though. So I'll explain why. So herbal medicine, right? So is about, or botanical medicine is using remedies in their full states, everything inside that natural substance. All right, and there's a large number of compounds in nature, right? We call them phytochemicals, right? They're natural chemicals inside these plants. Those compounds sometimes have synergistic effects, meaning they work with one another. All right, so they'll have a compound within garlic and another compound within garlic, and together they give an effect on the body. But many times researchers don't know the effects of all of these compounds. They say, which compound is the one that's working, and they say that must be that compound, and they might see some effect of that compound. And what they do is they begin to research that compound, and then they say that's the effective compound. So now when you go to buy this garlic extract, they'll say, allicin, this particular compound, it's standardized to this compound, or if this compound is extracted and we've put it in the pill. Problem is that nature works in this beautiful synergistic way where different compounds within these plants work together, and it's not about isolating any one of them. So we want to use things in their full form. Standard extracts or an extract of one particular compound oftentimes can actually do more harm, because in nature there are some things that help the effect that we're reaching, and some they mitigate that effect. So you could take a natural substance and it will cause an anti-inflammatory effect, but it won't be to the level of anti-inflammatory that you might be able to take an aspirin. The thing is, because some of it's blocking it from doing too much. So natural substances have an effect, but they have some effects that are much more pronounced than other pharmaceuticals. And other times they have things that mitigate that, these decrease that effect. And that's because the whole substance works together. And that's why instead of using just one compound, many times people use many, instead of using one herbal, they many times make mixtures of herbals, right? And then so now we're able to get more of the effects that we want, at the same time not making it so dangerous because they have other phytochemicals that block it from becoming dangerous. That's the beauty of herbal medicine, right? So there's the large number of compounds, they act in concert together, and they provide a net beneficial effect. And since the concentration of each individual compound is low, the side effects will also be low. That's one of the. That doesn't mean there's no side effects. Can herbal medicine can herbs be toxic? Totally. There's ones that can be lethal too. So it's not that they're all safe. Oh, it's natural, so it's safe. They're definitely not true. But they, if you extract something from them and use that, it'll be more dangerous compared to if it was in its natural state. And if you have any questions, you can stop me anytime. So it has a large number of compounds together, and in many cases, side effects of the individual compound are not additive. Thus, in most cases, the side effects may be somewhat negligible or absent altogether. Some people will be able to use a large dose of a substance, a natural food, and it's not toxic, right? Whereas if you extract something from it, it can be toxic. All right, and some of the compounds isolated from medicinal plants, if tested individually, may not even show an appreciable biological effect. Some of these compounds may aid in the absorption. So some compounds within this, in these substances, may not just work. When it says synergy, it doesn't mean it's the same receptor site and it's doing the same effect. It could help absorption in some way. It could help in another part of the body that is the same, like you're looking at, let's say, decreasing your blood sugars. Yes, some things could help with absorbing sugar into the cell, taking out of the blood. Another could be that it makes the rate of how much sugar is increasing in your blood, it slows that down. Both of those have a good effect on diabetes, but they're different effects, right? So I love to use natural herbal medicines because of these particular benefits. And that's also why because there is this general safety, and we have such a long usage of them, that people who say there's no research behind it, it's almost a silly question to say, oh, how do I know honey is safe? We've been using honey forever. we already know about this. We don't have to feed rats buckets of honey to see when is it that they're going to die, and then figure out that at this point it's not safe. This is like this Western obsession with like reductionistic research. We know from human trials, human history, that these things are safe. Okay, so some of these, they have synergistic effects. They absorb, and they can they can transport, and they may aid alternatively in these compounds may counteract possible side effects. I discussed some of this stuff, and unlike pharmaceutical preparations, the safety margin of the herbal products are much higher, and any side effects tend to be less deadly. So, not saying that all herbs are safe, but there is the safety margin is higher with natural substances because when you use them in their whole form. So dosages. Dosages of raw substances, raw herbs, in their raw form, you need to use a lot more to get that dosage because there's a lot of water and there's a lot of they're in a full form. As soon as they're dried, they decrease in volume. That's why a lot of herbs are found in capsules. They've been pulverized into a powder and then they're put into a small capsule. So the raw form is going to give you a lot more effect than the raw. And if you, oftentimes you won't be able to get that because it'll give you, give you the runs before, you're taking that much substance. But in the herbal, in the dry form, it's a lot more easier. However, there's a problem with some of the dry. What would be the problem in you having, like a dry herb compared to like a, another form? Okay, it can lose some of its potency. That's right. Anything else? What was that?
How does it lose potency? Just for being dry and on shelf?
Yep, it depends on the drying process. Because drying also is a process. You can't if you pick something and you leave it in the sun, it's going to dry and it's going to lose many beneficial compounds. Whereas if the way we dry them, we dry them in darker areas. If you put them in an area and it's too moist, then it could be a mold. Yeah, it can grow on it. Another thing is that some of the pills, they have to go through your digestive process now, right? They need your fluids to extract the nutrients out of them. And not all our digestive people are not that healthy to be able to extract all those nutrients. So sometimes having a dry herb is harder on the digestive system, and some people can't digest them well, right? And there's also a difference between capsule and tablet. Tablets are compressed and they have fillers, right? So the fillers and the compression often doesn't allow people with weak digestion to absorb. So the best way to take the herbs, the most readily available, would be in a liquid form. Dry form has some things that make it difficult. So if you extract them, we were talking about the different type of extracts, like liquid extract, compared to a liquid extract, it's easier to absorb. Right? So when you go to the store, you're like, oh, which one should I get? I have, astragalus in a capsule or a liquid form. Liquids will always be more expensive. However, they're more easily absorbed. Okay. So what kind of liquid extracts do we have? Alcoholic extracts, non-alcoholic extracts, things made from water, infusions, diffusions, teas. What's the difference between those? Do you know?
I've done, coconut oil.
Okay, yeah, oils, yeah.
And, vodka. And butter.
Okay, what did you extract in butter?
CBD and THC.
Okay, yeah.
Brownies or sprayed for pain management.
Okay, all right.
Same-
Because
It's same with the coconut butter. They make gummies.
Okay.
And, so sleep time or pain remedies.
Yeah, how's are you still using that homeopathic that you use for your sleep?
Yes, I find one pellet for 5 days,
You're down to one pellet every 5 days.
and then 2 days off, and then it starts snoring loud again.
Okay, so you're able to figure out one pellet every 5 days.
One a day for 5 days,
Okay.
and then 2 days without, and then it starts snoring again.
Okay, well, not bad. One little pellet. Okay, and your snoring has improved how much?
I don't know, it doesn't wake me up. I guess it does once in a while.
Good answer.
But no, and that's the thing with the extraction, or I do vodka, with mullein.
Yeah.
And then I also use it in my coffee, my drip coffee maker, dried herb,
The mullein?
the wallet, every day, and that's for my.
Tastes good? Does it taste good, mullein, dried?
Yeah, it really doesn't have any flavor. I just dry it out in the barn and
Yeah.
keep it stored all winter.
Should make a
and
trip.
break it up.
Trip to his laboratory. Yeah, have a field trip, we should.
All good.
Yeah, tell us all the stuff that you have.
Gummies and everything.
Yeah, oh yeah, bring us some samples. So,
Yeah, I'm doing cinnamon in my coffee now also for my congestion on my lungs. And
okay.
it's also for anti-inflammatory, so.
Yep.
I scrape a little bit off of my coffee off a stick and then I stir and just leave it in my coffee, won't sit there.
Yeah.
So you use cinnamon sticks, like
Yes.
gentle?
Yeah, I was using the powder, but I was pouring it in my coffee maker, but I was clogging
Very
it up.
cool.
So I just went to the stick.
So what these different extraction processes do is they extract different things from these herbs, because many herbs have liquid soluble phytochemicals, and some are fat soluble, and not everything can be extracted with water, and not everything can be extracted with hot water. And then you can leave it for a long time and it can be extracted to some extent, but then the fat solubles are not as well extracted, like he's extracting with fat. Alcohol is stronger in the sense that it's able to extract more from the herbs. So that's why they'll use alcohol extracts for some of the most strongest processes.
And I find myself, it's a cheap one, less steps. Like if you do the fats, then you're making gummies or cakes or whatever, or just a couple drops of vodka tincture in your tongue, a couple times a day, and that's again, it's self-medicated. So you figure out what you need or how often. But, you know, I just got a little drip bottle, or I could have all kinds of stuff hanging out in the fridge and freezer, right? So it's a lot less storage, a lot less process. I have 3 or 4 different bottles on the go at all times, shake them every day, and leave them.
And what are the inside? Vodka?
Just mason jars.
No. What are you using? You're using vodka.
Yes, yes. Now, unfortunately, I can't get the high test stuff. I mean, I want to get the 40%. They say the higher the alcohol content,
The more.
better it is, but that's all I can get in Canada.
Is that true? I thought you can get like ethanol type.
Oh, we're pretty problems on the estate.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't looked too hard, but it's always been just 40% Canada. So yeah.
There you go, next hobby is.
What did you say? I didn't hear that.
Moonshine.
What's that?
So, okay, you make your own whiskey.
Oh, right. Okay.
Someday.
Right. Yeah. But I think for medicinal purposes, I think you can. There is available some. Yeah.
It's working for me. So.
Yeah, but it's also probably very expensive. No, like vodka isn't that expensive.
Right, but yeah, you know, if you're only, say, a mason jar like this, and you only have to use the 2 drips, like 2 drops, 3 times a day, that jar is
Yeah.
months and months of medicine.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like you're not drinking and you're not
Yeah.
doing shots.
You're doing 2 or 3 drops.
Yes, under your tongue.
Hmm.
So for the absorption.
So usually, okay, so that's what we'll read. So I'll get to that. It tells you how much usually extracts are. They usually use a 1 to 10 ratio. So maybe you're using more if you're, But
I don't measure.
Really? Shooting the hip here.
This boy.
Yeah. All right. So we'll have to correct a couple of those things here. We'll have to because yes, that's there's safety, right? You want to be able to use the best amount and then be able to standardize that in a way that you can also go back to it. These are processes not for just your personal benefit, but they're also beneficial for. So we have books that we report the benefits of certain things, and then human beings share them, and that's actually how we've developed. This is years and years and years of herbal therapies people doing that they share information about. Just like in homeopathy, we have materia medicas. Similar, like that we have herbal compendiums that we share information about. Now you can publish them, your research. So raw herbs are first picked, washed, and dried for reasons of shelf life, stability. Fresh herbs are not encapsulated for sure because they're going to get mold on them, and they can usually be obtained in a very limited time. And I told you that very. Did anyone look into that book of People and Plants by Maurice Messique? A really cool book. And he talks about in the morning where the plant has the strongest strength, so he'll pick it in the morning and he won't pick in the evening, and he dries in a particular place, but its temperature it's in the shade, and then he talks about his it's like a very not aesthetic, but he has like an affectionate relationship with his plants, And I do believe that these, because they're living, that how you extract and how you work with your plants and how you, pick them and dry them and everything, that it has an effect on the overall energy of the plant too. So fresh herbs, they can be obtained in this limited windows. Different times of the year, they're better, stronger, and weaker. And it also depends whether it's the leaf or the stalk or the roots. And there's different parts for different plants that are useful. They're usually sold in bulk. They're cheapest. Powder form is usually made after you dry them. Commercially, all raw herbs sold in an encapsulated dosage form is made from dried herb ground into a fine powder. So what are the pros and cons of pros? Are usually it's cheapest, right? And it's most available compared to like liquid extracts or the standardized extracts. The cons, it's you do have to digest them, right? So there's also that aspect that you have to eat the herb or take the herb in its raw form, and you can never get that full amount from like compared to dried. And then you also have to digest it, and that can give you diarrhea if you have too much. And so it's difficult to attain a therapeutic dose. Therapeutic dose meaning the amount you need to actually get into a amount that's medicinal, has a medicinal effect. Okay, and liquid extracts. Any questions so far? Just stop me. We have the three different types of extracts that we're talking about. So we have I'll put these things here. You want C, borax. What was the other one you said?
Detox.
Oh yeah, just that concentrated detox. Yeah. So we're talking about. So there's raw herb. We have liquid extracts. And standardized. Okay. So liquid extracts, we said that it's usually sold on the commercial market as made from ethanol or a water mixture, and sometimes glycerin and water are also used to extract. So all tinctures are extracts, but not all extracts are tinctures. Do you understand what that means? Like a tincture is an extract, but an extract is slightly different. So let's talk about so an extract and a tincture. A tincture is usually you have one part herb. So if you want to make yourself on the same, you want to make a mother tincture done like other people make them, yeah. You put 1 gram of the herb, and you put 10 grams of the extractant. 10 parts of like ethanol or water mixture. Then you can actually say that this is how much. That's how, if you wanted to sell it, for example, that's how someone would be wanting to make sure that you had. Otherwise, people dilute things, and then you don't get the full dosage. It sounds like to me that you might be using a lot more than that.
Probably, yeah.
How much do you put usually?
I put a third of a jar of dried herb and ground up.
Okay.
And then the rest is what.
Okay, so third. Okay.
Yeah. Probably waste.
You guys have been to school
Yeah. What waste? Do you think it would? It might just be really strong.
Well, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, and that's why you're saying just a couple drops. You're seeing some effect from that. But there probably might be some wastage too, because you need to have the herbal extract needs to be diluted in enough liquid so that it has an ability to extract into. Maybe it would be too saturated, and then you won't
It's possibly not enough absorption.
Yeah, could be. Something to play with, but that's usually how they do it, one part, so. All right, so liquid extracts are slightly different. They usually have a maximum concentration of 1 gram of herb to manufacture 1 gram of final extract. But that doesn't mean it's 1-to-1. What it means is usually they have more liquid that has been extracted, and then they boil it down. So usually they boil away the extra water, and they concentrate the final product. So that final product is, and it's very kind of like a dark looking like preparation. The darkness usually doesn't mean that it's all good stuff. Some of it's oxidized and tannins from other compounds. And then other companies do use other ways to prevent some of the oxidation, but that's usually how standardized extracts are made compared to just tinctures. They boil away the rest. And alcoholic versus non-alcoholic. So there's two types. There's the tincture, and then there's extracts, and then the tinctures are alcoholic and non-alcoholic. So
So a liquid extract is a different concentration than a tincture?
a liquid extract, the concentration, the final concentration will be more because they boil away the water, right?
So initially, do they use the same concentration as?
1 gram usually.
To 10 parts?
Yep, but then they'll boil away.
And then they boil it away?
Yeah,
So it's more pure.
so it's more concentrated.
Yes.
If you have a small amount of that, it's now all the liquid extra water is gone.
So you're gonna say all liquid extracts have been boiled?
So the extracts have been boiled, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so when you go, you'll see on the labels some of these. Now you know what these labels mean. As a general rule, alcoholic extracts are usually more potent than non-alcoholic extracts. Generally, this is because lots of herbs have large compounds which provide biological effect, and some of these compounds are not soluble in water, but they are soluble in alcohol. And non-alcoholic extracts of the alcohol soluble compounds are usually lower than found in the alcoholic extracts. So glycerin, as is an example, is usually an alcoholic substitute for extraction purposes. However, glycerin is usually a poor extractant when compared to ethanol. Now, a good question would be, like he's saying, coconut oil or butter. So you boil the butter down.
I crock pot and just leave it on low heat for 36, 48 hours. Let everything just melt together.
With the
They
herbs
strain it
inside.
with the herb in it, and they can strain it
Mm-hmm.
to get out your garbage, your herb.
Yeah.
And then it's just your extract. You're squeezing it, filtering it out as much of the liquid as you can.
Mm-hmm. The boiling, though, that can also damage some of the compounds too, right? So it would be a good experiment for you to see. Where did you learn that to do through butter?
Friends.
Friends, okay.
Read a book.
Yeah. Did they say so?
But it's very low heat. Your crock pot on low. Like
Very low.
setting
Okay.
For 48 hours, 60 hours, whatever.
Wow.
So it's not even bubbling. It's just becoming one.
Right, and actually, so it's allowing the butter to stay in liquid,
Yes.
and that's interesting. I wonder if it would be as effective as maybe just sitting in alcohol. Because when you put it in alcohol, you leave it there for a while. It's not like
Yes, I do 2 months or 6 months, like whatever. Depends
Yeah.
on if I need it. If not, it just sits and keeps on percolating. So, but with the fats do well. You can store it in the fridge or whatever, and cook with it or whatever you want to do with it. Right? So.
You had a question?
Just about the glycerin, is that something for more like a topical application? Because when I think glycerin, I think soap, and I'm like, I wouldn't use soap, that's been a long time since I've had to eat soap.
No, it's you can take glycerin as well.
Like, really? Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
There's no taste.
It's kind of sweet, isn't it? Glycerin? I think it is.
And that's nitrical.
Oh.
No, not nitroglycerin, yeah. It's like a liquid, yeah. They use it, some people, and especially for children. So shelf life, this is good to know always. So alcoholic extracts tend to have a much better shelf life than the non-alcoholic extracts. So the alcohol usually acts for years. I've had alcoholic extracts for years. Actually, it's fine. It's an excellent preservative, and most alcoholic preparations can have a shelf life of it says 4 to 5 years. So butter. How long would that sit around? How long can you have butter? Huh?
You can freeze it now, it'll last.
Oh,
indefinitely.
that's true. Oh yeah, you can freeze it too. That's true.
Cut up in little cubes, it's pretty good.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. It seems like a more home thing to do. Like we're talking about medicinal level things, but if you boil it and percolate it, it might have a medicinal level amount. But usually, yeah. So we do it through alcohol, and they should sit in a dark room, and you can and then we don't use just small drops. We use a certain amount. And in Maurice Messigue's book, he actually does it. Just put people's hands and feet into them, and it just allow for transdermal absorption. But it helped preserve it very well. So alcoholic extracts are quite effective that way, and non-alcoholic extracts a little bit less, 2 to 3 years maybe, and depending on how it's manufactured and storage. So shelf life is determined by deterioration of the finished product. The product deteriorates with the following reasons. What do you think? What causes these extracts to get ruined?
Well,
Yep.
improper storage, just
Yep.
like your food or whatnot.
Yeah, and then it breaks down some of the compounds inside the plants. And then oxidation, so it loses its potency. So alcohol usually inhibits the action of native enzymes and also inhibits the growth of bacteria and mold. That's why alcohol is very strong, because it stops these enzymes from them to work and break down the compounds. All non-alcoholic preparations usually contain some sort of an antimicrobial preservative, even if it is packaged under sterile conditions. So all non-alcoholic ones, they need that. And the reason for this, and I wrote some of these in this smaller handout, but you can add some notes to the side. So the reason for this is that once the bottle is open, it's exposed to mold and bacteria, spores that are ubiquitous in the environment. They're everywhere. So that's why if you make it out of glycerin, or even maybe butter, I'm sure, then you would need some type of an antimicrobial preservative in there. Yeah, that's true.
But freezing would kill off their.
Because that would bring it to a high temperature, right? For a certain amount of
But
time.
once you open it, then it's exposed to some bacteria.
So if you cut up little pieces or pour it into ice cube trays, and you got a portion,
Okay.
freeze it,
Mm-hmm.
you can wrap them up. You take one at a time, so you use it accordingly, so if it takes you 3 days to go through that one ice cube, everything else is still safe.
Still phrased. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Like I said, this is a whole way around it.
No, it's very interesting. There's and you know what? There's in different parts of the world, there's different processes. Like if you go to China, they actually have these big pots where they keep on boiling the herb, and they just keep on boiling and boiling and boiling, and it's it's very very effective. And then they give you little cups. Like when I was in China and Malaysia and those Eastern countries, when you walk into like one of their hospitals, it just smells like herbs, and they have these big vats, like these big silver like containers. They're just boiling herbs, and then the doctor comes and sees you, and he'll check your tongue and your pulse, and he'll write you a prescription, and you just go to someone, and he just goes to different containers and mixes a little bit of the teas for you, and then people just sit around and they just drink these teas. So it's every culture has a certain way of effectively extracting and bringing, and they, I guess because it's always boiling, it's being actively added to. They don't have to worry about the bacterial problems that, right?
And the heat's there to keep it
That's right.
safe.
That's right. Yeah. So this is an interesting. I like to hear these ideas. All right, and okay, so there's also spores. Spores can seed the product and begin growing. Refrigeration of the product often, after opening, does not totally prevent the growth of microorganisms, but only inhibits it. Yeah, so we know that like refrigeration, but freezing can also, is actually at the next level, right? Yeah. All right, so pros, easily absorbed. These are the extracts, and it works fast. And there's another really good thing. So let's say you wanted to, sometimes I do this with patients, I know they need some benefit from a herb, and I'll tell them the cheapest form is to go get the dried, a large amount of dried capsules, right? But before that, you want them to hurry up, get the benefit, so you can start with a tincture. You start with a tincture, you immediately start getting the benefit. By the time the tincture runs out, and you take the capsule, and so you have a certain amount that you're already getting exposed to immediately, as the concentration of the capsules ends up, in your system. So if you want an extra immediate benefit, then it's good for the liquid extracts. And active ingredients are usually in a bioactive form. It's active, cheaper than standardized extracts with respect to the amount of actives in the final product. Cons, usually not very palatable. Children, it's hard to get this stuff in them. And yeah.
My son struggles with allergies, and I try to get the, I guess it's an extract from the natural food store, and
yeah.
the one he's okay with, but the other one, it must be some sort of bitter. I'm not entirely
yes,
sure.
The bitters are very hard to take.
Oh, this stuff's terrible.
Yep.
But it works really great.
Yep.
Yeah.
But getting in him.
Yeah.
So that's one of the problems. That's the reality. Okay, standardized extracts. To manufacture standardized extracts, a certain family of compounds thought to be active compounds are monitored. Okay, so we're talking about standardized extracts. Actually, no. Let's take a break. You guys might want to go to the washroom. We'll just do the standardized extract at the end, and then we'll cover
So your liquid extract would be your home brew.
a liquid extract.
Your liquid extract as compared to standard extract is by Dawn doing the liquid extract at home, and standard would be going to the store and buying it.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because you will have more ability to measure the compounds. You're talking about standardized extract?
So the difference between a liquid extract.
Yes.
As opposed to a standard extract.
We haven't talked about standardized
I know.
extract yet.
I'm trying to get this in my head.
Okay.
So a liquid would be what Dawn does,
Yes.
and standard would be going to the store and buying it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But he can do a tincture too, and that's also an extract.
Right.
But the extract that you're talking about is that he boiled. If you boil it down a little bit.
So online, you can actually buy a butter making machine that can take down butter and you put your herbs into it.
Okay.
Put half an hour process. I've never seen one, but
Okay.
I know people have had them.
But you do it in a crock pot, right?
I do it in a crock pot. I've always said it, just walk away. And it doesn't stink up a room or anything. It doesn't matter what, you don't smell oregano or,
You don't?
no. No, because you've got such a low temperature, it's not bubbling and steaming. So,
Good.
but like I said, you can do herb, I'm a chef by trade.
Oh, okay.
So we do herb
Talented.
butters for some restaurants or whatever.
Yeah.
And we'd freeze them that, and then we'd slice them into pats, and then for your bun or your potatoes or whatever.
Yes.
So we would use a crock pot, we use a pot, just melted our butter in it.
Okay.
And then you had to freeze it in a loaf tin or whatever, and then you could slice it up. But you do that with your butters or whatnot.
Pretty cool. Okay. Now, because I would imagine, see, the problem with when you boil them, when you boil herbs, is that the aromatic parts of the herbs end up leaving, and some of them are very beneficial, so you want to be able to trap them. So alcoholic extracts do that because you put them in and just leave them, and boiling can lose that. But this particular method, if you're saying it doesn't even boil, it just, stays.
So, not in December, like just.
And you can't even smell it.
Right.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now, something I'd like to mention to everybody, I'm playing around with a lot of different things, but it's only on my property. I won't go to your yard or along the side of the road and pull a mower on my, don't know if it's county sprayed or the farmer sprayed.
Yep, that's right.
I know we don't use herbicides, pesticides, or anything on our property, so I feel safe putting it into me. But it's not gonna kill it,
Oh, yeah.
make it sick, so it's kind of not what I wanna do with this. And I started making a little bit of salads with dandelions this summer.
Dandelions, yeah.
You can eat the whole thing.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I'm gonna try this, so.
Bitter.
Yeah,
Bitter though.
yeah, but we retired, so now we got time to start reading stuff.
Yeah.
And then, now I got time to play around with stuff, that's why we're here too.
Great, great.
Learning stuff and having fun, right?
Yep.
And another thing, if you do grind up anything, if you dry whatever, even if it's, fruit, once you put it in the blender or whatever to grind it up, that mechanical effort that goes into it will add moisture to the dry goods.
Okay.
So then put it in the oven. And re-dry it, but it'll be a very short dry. But we've actually had some really bad, because we didn't realize it, and then I started thinking back to my mechanics of jobs I've had, and there's heat.
Yes.
You have that,
Heat, yeah.
create moisture. So you just put it in a cookie tray or something like that, put it in the oven for a few minutes. But there's a couple of things like that, is the hard work things.
So do you
Yeah.
always do stuff in the oven, or do you use like a dehydrator too?
We use dehydrator also. But once we dehydrate something, we want to grind it up into a powder and make it a teas or just muffins or something. Then we use the mixer or whatever, grind it, and then we heat it up again, because if you're gonna store it for any time, we're going to use it right now, but we're gonna put it away in a glass jar for 6 months or 3 months. Then we'll retry it.
So if you guys want to just get a glass of water, use the washroom or whatever, we'll come back and then finish up these. And I'm going to mention 2 herbs that are very useful. I thought that would be very useful for everybody.
Well, it's great. I used your, oregano oil today, looks great.
Fantastic.
I just put a little bit, I diluted a little bit of it with more oil,
Uh-huh.
and put some here, and people were coming near me, so
Oh,
it worked.
fantastic. I have been making my own bug spray for the Legion. Distilled water, witch hazel, castor bean oil, and then lavender, eucalyptus, and cedarwood essential oils. And it smells like skin so soft. That's what everybody says. I'd say this though, you have to continuously reapply, especially at the Legion with the deer flies.
Yeah,
Once it dries on you, it's like,
our price is the same as the Legion for the.
they're crazy this year. The heat is really rough on my leg. I ordered, cold pressed off of, I think it was Amazon. I got my 2 liters from. That has to be cold pressed castor bean oil.
So I was doing a bunch of reading last 2 days on it, so I brushed my teeth with it last night, put a couple drops, I got you in the way, I said, what do you do it with that? I'm using a clove, tincture right now, or just, cloves, soaked in water for a few weeks, and I use that as mouthwash. And
Yeah. Yeah, I'm making mouthwash too, with cloves and cinnamon. I boil it, I bring it to a boil, and then I shut it off, I cover it for 24 hours, and then strain it, and I just add a little bit of peppermint oil in it, keep it in the fridge, I give it a good shake. It's nice, I find it works nice, yeah. Because I struggle with gingivitis too, because I stopped using all that crap toothpaste so long ago, and I actually find that lady, the natural food store, she's got a really good brand. There's 2 flavors, the tea tree oil one and the cinnamon, they're really, they work well.
That was surprising, the one uses for that oregano, burns or cuts. Yeah, I just like, wow, because that's my favorite herb for eating. Like,
Yeah.
everything, I got a grinder on the table. And
Like
so
catnip?
it goes, yes. Oregano goes on everything.
I think I'm gonna have to learn how to cook more with it. I think I put more basil than anything in mine, or maybe parsley, I don't know. Whatever's really in the cupboard word, that's not normally regular. I like playing around with teas, like,
I'm just starting.
before I went to Scotland last year, I had some major anxiety leading up to the trip, and, I found that drinking chamomile, rosebuds, stinging nettle, and lavender all together, I would just brew it in my pot, and I would get like 2 or 3 cups out of it, mix it with honey. It was really calming.
Use any of the natural, any of the herbs or anything?
I'm learning a lot. I learned a couple of little things from my grandmother when I was a kid, and it's always fascinated me. And I'm more for home remedies than any
I had COPD, so I'm not your toast from smoking. And I had a lot of liquid in them. And I started drinking this blue one leaf, I dried it, hanging in the shed. And then I, just crumpled some up in my coffee filter, and it's a drip
You
coffee.
said mullein leaf?
Mullein leaf, yes. The root you can eat, use the root, you can use the flowers, I use the leaf for my, confession. And it grows wild every day. It goes past from this at 6 feet tall. It's like it's back and quite almost in leaves. There's all kinds of extracts in that online, if you do Amazon and stuff, there's all kinds. I just, cause I make it myself.
Do you make it with the lemon tomatoes, or what do you do? You're in the garden?
It just goes everywhere, I cut around it, I don't hit it with my lawnmower. But I just crush them up in my coffee every morning, in the filter, it
You're not
drips
trying
in.
any of it? Why not?
And then I got tinctures of it with alcohol.
Is it like,
All right, good reason.
It's called cowboy toilet paper, it's our term for it.
Those things are like, yeah.
oh, yeah.
Mullein, yeah, they say you can take the leaf and put it right in your
What do you
shoe
use
for
the butter for?
inflammation.
Like, how do you use the butters? Cause this is like
So,
fascinating.
okay, so you can do herbs and
Yeah, for
fish,
food.
you want pot.
Mhm.
So I got a CBD,
Mhm.
so if I eat spirit out crackers really good,
Okay.
you bake cookies with it.
Hmm.
Put mashed potatoes, depends on how you wanna use your pot and what, or what, the CBD is more for pain relief.
Yes.
THC is the stuff that takes you up in the air a bit. So I have CBD, I can function during the day, I like my beer, I don't take it, don't smoke weed. But the CBD at the end of work week when I was working, I take it right before I go to bed, or THC. And I get sleep before I got the stone off, but I sleep all night. And wake up refreshed, because if you don't sleep, you don't heal.
Yeah.
And so it's used as a sleeping pill instead of going buying a jar of pills, or
Yeah.
pot.
Huh.
And again, I can roll that myself, so therefore I don't have to worry about some of these chemicals or whatever, or spraying it or something.
And how do you figure out the CBD versus the THC, which is the strain of seeds that you have?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
So if you go, probably do where you go, I go down to Indian Pine, I buy plants, they're already made, they're growing, and you just tell them what you want, CBD or THC, or hybrid.
Yeah.
And I
So
think
do you
there's
make,
one
like muscle rubs and stuff with,
I haven't gone that far with it yet,
Yeah.
just to ingest.
Yeah.
But even like, I got tinctures with vodka, I've done with the pot.
Yeah.
I've tried it out. You have to bake the buds. The THC will not be, released from it until it's heated. That's why you smoke the joint. So without heat, the chemical stays tied up into that bud.
Huh.
So I just sort of spray it out of my barbecue, close the lid, keep an eye out, and just roast it. That way it doesn't stick the house up.
Keeps you out of trouble.
And then I grind it up with a coffee grinder,
Yeah,
and then I'll bake it a little bit more, because I said the mechanical adds moisture,
yeah.
and then I'll store it in masonry jars. And then I'll do, my vodka tincture, which I just heat a bunch of stuff together, throw it in and shake
Oh,
it.
that's fascinating.
And then it's like a couple drops underneath my tongue. So you're not getting drunk, even if you had a problem with alcohol, you're not drinking alcohol. And, or like I know a gentleman, he takes, a pat of butter every night on a cracker before he goes to bed, and it helps with his pains and aches and helps him sleep. And he gets his own pot. Butter, that's where I learned mine, was from him.
Yeah.
Not just a
So did you get you didn't get the butter machine off Amazon then?
No,
So I'm like, ooh,
no.
because I saw someone get a party with just like herbs and stuff. I'm like, that's cool, but now you have a whole other level to
Yeah.
it. I'm like, okay.
Oh, I see, you have actual herbs and just spice up your dinners and stuff like that too,
Yeah.
right?
Super cool.
Or cereals, cookies, or whatever. Basic.
Keep them all like.
So you find this stuff, you just figure out how to make it. My oregano plant keeps growing,
Yeah.
and I love that. But it's
Well,
just-
we can, that can rot
I
over, you
just
can
keep
add
buying
it
it,
to
buying it up,
the
and not put it in the dentures and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's like a super duper like antibacterial.
Yeah, inflammatory, and
Yeah.
dried
Yeah, I got that
some
too,
last
just-
night, and advice, and stuff like that.
Huh.
So, why not?
Cool. Cool,
Oh, I just read, investing in gold
That's
is,
cool. Training.
survival type for, homesteaders.
Yeah.
Because they do all their own canning,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And there's so much information on actual herbs that they're going back to the Amish, learning from the Amish stuff.
Yeah.
Cause they still do it today.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing what's in your yard that you can use. You don't need to go to the pharmacy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we hope that, from this course, you guys can feel confident a little bit more to use and pick herbs and then make stuff out of them, and try it. So once you know, first of all, if not, even if you don't make it, then you can at least go to the store and you'll know what you can what things mean.
Yeah. That's it, like I was saying, Moolah, there's all kinds, there's thousands of them online.
Mhm.
I bought one in case it ran out or something like that, but I'm using my own, so.
Well, Malayan, you could just you can I picked it myself, and it's nice big fluffy leaves. The mullein or Malayan, they use it in tobacco, in smoke, in cigarettes too. It's mixed into our cigarettes. Like, I mean, I don't smoke, but like if you go buy a pack of cigarettes, there Malayan is mixed into it because it's actually soothing for the lungs, so it makes it easier for a smoker to smoke not directly just tobacco, but to be mixed with these herbs. So if you have a chest cold or an infection, then you can. So I picked mullein from my yard and dried it in the barn, and then I ground it up in a coffee grinder, and I have it sitting in a package. So if somebody in my family feels like they can't breathe, they have a cough, they want to be able to extract, something that's stuck inside, phlegm, then I just take a paper that people buy to roll, cigarettes or things, and you just put mullein in it, and you roll it, and then you can actually inhale, or you can inhale it on just burn it. But this is very concentrated, and you breathe it in, and you can breathe it out, and it actually benefits your lungs. It's not like a.
So I smoked for 45 years.
Mhm.
That's why I got the COPD.
Okay.
I would never roll up really, because I've heard about that recently. I don't dare do that potion again.
'Cause
Too much.
trauma.
I don't trust myself.
Yeah.
I'm 4 years clean. So
Good.
But with the tinctures and that, is there my coffee or tea? Hey, it's doing just the stuff that dried up in my chest.
Yeah.
I have a friend that has had COVID twice. He's got liquid lung, long COVID, and it's helped him a lot.
That might be because of the heart, though. So that's why I wanted, hopefully later after, we want to discuss some of. You can't discuss herbal medicine without discovering some biology and physiology, and microbiology. And microbiology too, but like biochemistry, I mean, because you have to understand the body. If you have liquid in the lungs, that means the heart might be weak actually. So it has a back fills the lungs up. Anyways, we can talk about that. Yeah. So homeopathy is different because we don't know how it works. So you just follow the pattern. Here, herbs are basically being used because they're using it in your molecular form. So you're using them like drugs, but with the added benefit that it has phytosynergetic effects with other phytochemicals. And so it's not as dangerous. It has all these instead of side effects, it has side benefits. You could be taking a herb, and instead of, okay, you're using it for the lungs, right? But it also benefits the heart. It has these side benefits. Whereas you go to buy a drug and you use a drug, there's like a long list of harms that are going to happen. Those are not usually the case with herbs. That's why getting into herbal medicine is so beneficial, because it has such a wide you don't get that high dosage of particular effect that you're looking for, but it's usually a long-lasting beneficial effect with other side benefits. Okay, so now we'll come to standardized extracts that you were asking about. Was it Jennifer that asked, or was it Laura? Yeah. So a standardized extract. So to manufacture standardized extracts, I don't personally like standardized extracts, but some people like them. A lot of research types like them, and you'll find doctors will say, "Oh, I'll trust a standardized extract." Problem is that we call a number of our doctor friends, medical doctors, and I have many doctor friends. I love them very much, but we call them, those guys who want to use natural medicine, we call them green doctors. Because there's a certain philosophy of natural medicine, and if you don't understand the philosophy and you try to make the philosophy fit into your paradigm and use it your way, then you might be defeating the benefit. All right. Now, a standardized extract is using one compound from the original substance, but so certain extracts are a certain family of compounds. They think that's the active compound, and those are monitored by certain assays and chemically using a variety of methods to develop a methodology to determine the most effective phytochemical. But oftentimes, what we're saying about natural medicine is that it's not one chemical that we're after, right? If you use it in isolation, it may actually do you harm. When you use it with everything together, then it's actually causing a certain benefit. And that's where herbal medicine has developed from, years of using the entire substance. So once the concentration of the suspected family of actives is known, then the liquid solvent extracts the concentration from and then they usually spray it with something to preserve it into cornstarch or maltodextrin, lactose. You'll see these oftentimes in these tablet forms. So they have extracted the standardized extract, but what is the problem? So let's talk about the pros first. Pros, you can say, oh, I know that this much concentration of the suspected actives, right, I can guarantee that much, okay? And then the product can be packaged into a convenient pill. That's also a benefit. But here's the cons. The concentration of the family or of the suspected actives is measured, but the benefit may have been in other compounds. You didn't know, and there's so many compounds, right? Some things have hundreds of compounds. You don't know which one is active and which one is not, or which one is doing a small part in helping another. So the suspected actives may not be the most important compound providing the biological effect that you're after. Then the suspected actives may not be in a biologically active form. Okay, so that also matters when you're using it in a tincture form, when you're using it in its natural form, compared to when you've bound it in cornstarch, or you've during the spray drying process. It can go through some type of a molecular change, okay, rendering that biologically active compound like ruining how active it is, biologically active it is. Because it's not unlike tinctures, alcohol, water, or glycerin. You're not extracting the biological active, just measuring it, and then you're binding it into something. Then the standardized extract is usually more expensive to also remember this, because you've done all this research on it, they'll make it more expensive. It's marketed higher. And because it's marketed higher, your amount of dosage usually in those pills will be less. Right? So that may make you miss the therapeutic window. So if you're looking for, I want to use St. John's wort. You know what St. John's wort is? Many people use it for depression, but there's a lot of standardized extracts because certain industries have gone into it as a form of making some profit from it.
So that's more like turning it into a pharmaceutical.
They're turning it into a pharma, but those are the ones that market it, and then companies, especially Western, we have doctors who are using these natural substances, they'll push the standardized extract.
So, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, how this kind of plays in here. So the standardized extract is more like, I want to think back to, like, the homeopathic stuff where they just, like, spray it on a tablet. So they're, like, doing some liquid extract stuff, they're mixing it around and they're spraying it on something and saying that this is their version of St. John's wort.
This is their version of St. John's wort.
And this is why we're marketing it. It's going to be more expensive because this is, like...
We tested it.
And it's a label, and then they're trying to almost...
Patent it.
That you can't patent it. So they're almost trying to patent it.
Right.
Their brand is the best.
Right.
Because this. So it's not necessarily more effective, it's just more commercialized.
It's more commercialized. And that's what I'm saying. You may not even get the therapeutic window.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, stick to the old herbalists.
Okay.
All right? Those guys, we have a whole science and way we've developed, even just what he's experimenting, like he's doing it in his barn, right? That is extracting things that are a lot more in line with herbal medicine as they've always been used.
So standardized, between all of these things, standardized is more the moneymaker, possibly not as effective as the other two. Like,
yeah, this is my opinion, right? You're asking, I'm just teaching what I believe.
no,
And
I'm just trying to categorize it in my head as
Yes.
to what to look for on a label and what not to.
I wouldn't get standardized extracts. If I have a choice, I would get things from herbalists or make it yourself, or get it from tinctures, or get the dried herbs, right? You get those, and then you can even play around with the dried herbs yourself. You'll have a lot more. And then you look up in the books these herbal compendiums of herbs, and you look at the benefits. You're going to be able to get those from the actual herbs compared to some of the products you're going to get. Okay. So yes, you're talking to a traditional type of. I'm very old school in my homeopathy and herbalism, and then so I wanted to discuss now 2 herbs, and we can go into other things later too. But 2 herbs as an example of herbal medicine. So there's one other world of consideration of herbs that we as herbalists sometimes take into consideration, other than just the extraction processes, which is the energetics of herbs. So the energetics of herbs are oftentimes in the Asian Eastern cultures, they call it something called tasir, or the Arabic would be ta'thir, the effect. What is the effect? The energetic effect. Okay. So if you were to look at this, you can type in traditional Chinese energetics, for example. So even if it's a Western herb, you can use this and try to understand the energy of that particular substance. So let's say in herbal medicine, we want to know plants by their Latin name. Okay, so astragalus is a common name. Astragalus. And full name is membranosus. So the full name is astragalus membranosus. If most people, if you actually want to talk about it, they'll just say astragalus, right? So astragalus membranosus. This is in Chinese called huangqi. The Latin is the kind of standard for in the West. It's a yellow herb, right? And it's not very expensive, but it's a beautiful herb. And here you can, I'm going to give you some.
You're down, you're out, would this be something that would maybe somebody else, or am I totally off the mark?
If someone is.
You get the January blocks, you just are
Oh, okay.
depressed, you're down, you're tired of the cold.
Right.
Depression is probably the biggest thing that most people get in January.
The blues, the winter blues.
Yes.
This is not for that. No, this is specifically for the immune system. This is immune system. It's it's helping the digestion and helping the immune system in response. There's other herbs that we'll talk about that have to do with mood and that have to do with feeling like down. This could be a part of it because we use photosynthetic synergistic effects. We use one and we add them to another. So you could extract them if you had this. This is a great thing to have in a herbal pan. Is that a nice hopefully not a standard extract, but a dried herb form in a capsule form, or if you went and got a tincture.
So basically, trying to relate it back to what we did with the homeopathic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's more of like a person type that this is better for, as far as like a cooler, someone who's cold all the time. Like there's the physical symptoms that the person has, and kind of like their constitution as far as if they're a cold person or a hot person.
Yes.
And then there's like a list of things that it could work for.
Mm-hmm.
So it may, and then looking back at it, it could be for an acute or chronic, depending on what you're aiming for.
This is more for a chronic, deep problem.
Okay.
Okay, this is for a weakened person that you're going to use long term, and to build them back up.
Okay, so I guess I was looking at it as like possibly like an acute issue if it was like you're talking about muscles or ligaments or things like that.
Same thing, because they're weakened
Okay.
and they don't have stamina. So you're using this as a tonic formula. You're using that on a daily basis to make a strong, robust, warmer, right? You can think of a frail, weak, not repairing muscles, no stamina type person. Yeah? That's what this astragalus is forte.
And then you have your
Muscles
list
and
of-
area the muscles are aching. It can help with it helps. I think it has a microbial immunomodulatory effect. So if you're too tense, your blood pressure is too high, your blood flow is not proper to all your areas, this is going to help you because it's going to warm you up. When you don't have blood flow, then it means you have coldness, right? But the problem is not that there's too much traffic. It's not you. This is the time you need a tonic. This is where you need more cars, right? You want to help. You want to if you have a road that you want to be fully used, for a tonic you add cars, and then the flow you'll have flow of cars. If it's a traffic jam, then you don't add a tonic. So this is not the person who has too much energy, right? Because too much energetic problems can cause immune system problems too, right? It's the person who has blockages of flow and he's not getting good blood flow and good immune system response to the areas of the body that he needs. But that's because it could be a congestion problem. This is a deficiency problem. The person doesn't have enough. And so astragalus tonifies. You've heard these words, right? Tonic, the opposite of something that a person would need to detox. People usually want to know, if you want to actually make sure you don't get the wrong herb, you go for the, because there's all types of different names for things, fairy dust and, smelly some root or all types of funny, like what? Yeah, well, actually, this is the Latin name. Different parts use different things, different names for it. But ashwagandha is a pretty common name. So with that, sometimes some people do need that. They just want an immediate relief from some trouble they're having. So I do give a bunch of things at once, and then I go one by one and I remove them. All right, and then I find out, oh, we needed that dose, so we keep it. Then we take out something else and keep it, right? That's the opposite of way of working. It's also okay, but it's, a little bit harder to determine what's working. So what I usually do is I try to give a diet that eliminates some of the most harmful things that are happening to the person, and that kind of restricted regimen, okay, is helpful for more problems, not coming. But then that's not usually enough to cure the person. So a standard diet that is kind of clean, and some lifestyle changes, getting their sleep cycle back to normal, eliminating stimulants, like for a nervous exhaustion type of patient, they should be eliminating coffee and caffeine uppers. But then I'll usually use some type of a homeopathic, which I would like to see the effect of that alone, right? Because if I use herbs and I use homeopathy at the same time, then it's not methodical. I don't know which one's working. So either I'll give the homeopathic right in the beginning and see its effect, and then once I see the effect, then I can give the dosage and repeat dosage, and then we'll add some herbs. Or I'll give some herbs with the dietary changes, see where they stabilize. Let's say they get to 60% better. Then they're at that kind of like a better place, and then I'll use the other homeopathics and things. So it's a little bit more methodical, but it takes a little longer. But in the long run, you're saving money and you know what's working. That's just my approach. Everyone has their own approach, eclectic approaches. For you guys, especially if you're, these are two herbs that you could get familiar with, astragalus and ashwagandha. Similar to like others, because this is useful for long-term regeneration and for health and robustness and stress and that. So you probably, it's common to run into people like that in our culture. The Western culture is very type A personality, go. But now that you know how to do a standardized extract, or you go to get pills, or you go get tinctures or capsules or whatever, then you can play with these. Sometimes you'll see these in formulas mixed with mushrooms or other things too. But same way, you would use this for other herbs mixed into these formulas, or the different herbal formulas. You can play with herbs that way. And you would for forever in India, and it's for long-term use. It's for people who need a little bit of resiliency. Yeah.
So you say you have a farm.
Yes.
Do you grow some herbs?
I do some things I'll grow. Some things I have an area of my property where I just don't trim it up, and I let things grow, and I'll go pick something out of it. We have, it's just a hobby farm. We have small animals and for the kids, and yeah. But I have a lot of ideas I would love to have a herbal garden specifically where I'm growing things and drying them and putting them into like some type of capsules or something like that. I'm not there yet, but something that, with land, a little bit of land, you can do a lot of this stuff.
Well, even, like I got a oregano plant this big, and
Yeah.
that comes off of it, and a couple sage plants and rosemary and stuff. It doesn't take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
Through these tables type thing, you got an herb garden out to do.
Great. And in the winter you take it inside?
No, some of them will grow inside.
Some of them are perennial.
Oregano?
Yes.
No, oregano's not that.
Oregano should. Oregano
It
die?
comes up every year.
Yeah.
Oregano? Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought oregano would die in the winter and then doesn't.
No,
You need to
it actually expands on me, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know mint does that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's really bad. But yeah, it just like I said, hang it in the shed and that, and grind it up or do whatever. I leave it as whole as I can until I'm ready to use it, so keep it more flavor or fiber.
Yeah. Amazing. So I'll try to prepare some things for next, I think maybe be prepared for a little bit more, some biochemistry stuff next week. I'll try to use, I can maybe touch on, NAC or, I'll see, so let me see if what would be really relevant to very common things. If you have something specific in mind, you can throw it at me right now and but NAC is a good one, N-acetylcysteine, very common, good to understand how it works. Sure, like carnitine, some people might have heard of that. Creatine, these are common things that people are using a lot of. So.
And you just gotta know what parts of the plant, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Like rhubarb, the stalk is edible.
Yeah.
Touch the leaf and it's poisonous, like a deep leaf, so the roots of this or that's good and the others aren't.